What's up, everybody? It is Chris Closes Your Deal with Lazarus Property Group and Real Estate Investing Made Easy. Welcome to the live stream. And we're going to jump right in here and get into some seller calls. I got a follow up from yesterday. Hopefully, we'll be locking up this contract here. So, my guess is he hasn't signed it yet. Let me just pull it up here. Okay, so the only time he viewed it was yesterday. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and reach out to this seller and hopefully get this all locked up. My guess is, just to kind of give you guys an update on this particular one, this is the guy I spoke to yesterday. I wanted to talk to his tenant, and then we were going to lock it up at 60K. So my guess is if I had to put my finger on it, because he hasn't viewed it again or anything else, um, either A, he's just going to sign it, or B, he's going to say after talking to the tenant, he learned more about the condition because he hasn't been there in God knows how long. He hasn't been there forever, so he's not familiar with the condition, and he got updates on the condition, and maybe it's not in quite as bad shape as we thought. And so then he tries to negotiate higher, or he gets spooked out about the time line of the contract. So one of those three things I think is going to happen. I don't think there's a world where he's just like, nope, I don't want to do business with you guys. I think I have really good rapport with him. So yeah, let's see, and we'll figure out which of those scenarios is actually the correct one.
Hey, it's Greg.
Hey, what's up, Greg? It's Chris. How are you?
Chris, I've been trying to call you all day, man, all day.
You have?
Yes, your
Oh,
phone sometimes doesn't work. Other times it just goes right to voicemail.
yeah, we've been having
Anyway,
some weird phone issues, man. I don't know what the heck the deal is. So, because I've tried to call there's a couple times where I've tried to call it from my cell phone. I have Verizon, and I get this weird Verizon like error message. But then when I call it from a friend's phone who has like AT&T, it just goes right through. So I don't know what the heck the deal is, but yeah. So what's going on?
well, last night I got another call, another offer in, and they came in at 70. And so I was calling you to kind of inform you of that situation and where we are, and just kind of chat with you for a minute.
Yeah, sure, sure. Okay. All right.
Because, go ahead.
So yeah, no worries. I appreciate you giving me that heads up. When so how long was that conversation? Like what would they, how did they come up with that and how'd that go?
Yeah, it went pretty much just like you and me. Still sight unseen, and I was just as tried to be as transparent with them as I felt like I was with you about the situation, and they go, okay, and they actually came in lower than that, and I said, well, would you do 70? And they went back, to supposedly their underwriters or investors or however that works for you guys, and said, okay, they do 70.
Mhm.
And then I go, okay, well, I don't have any contracts yet with them or you, but I feel like I just wanted to be open and, again, transparent, and just kind of, sort this out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. And yeah, honestly, I appreciate you, even giving me the chance to have a discussion with you about it. So thank you for that. Um, so I guess like where's your head at this point?
I tell you, Chris, can I just be honest here?
Yeah.
These organizations, like I've worked with Open Door and those kind of entities in the past, and that's all gone real well, pretty straightforward. I mean, all that. This kind of stuff is a little different. And so I did a lot of research today on both the companies, and you know, I got on your website and I saw that, and I saw you know, your header and the Lazarus Group, and saw some reviews and all that. And of course, talking with you, I get a you know, a really good feel of it. But I just have not done this before, and I guess I'm a little leery. I had a little trouble in the research category on the other company. I did resolve it, but at the same time, it kind of makes you feel like, hey, this is, you know, I'm just kind of like I'm going to sign these contracts in the wind, and then be tied up for a couple months, and then be at the whim of a small earnest money. And I'm just trying to sort it all in my brain. So I was kind of hoping that we could talk, and maybe you could help me, and I'll let you know where I am. That's pretty much where I am, and see what you guys do and how you handle these things.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, no, fair enough, and I appreciate that, you know, and really going back to, you know, like on the front end of the conversation when we spoke, you know, I mentioned to you, you know, provide a lot of the company info on the front end, and you know, let you know that like, hey, our goal is efficiency, you know, and just being super transparent and everything, and just so I can kind of get a better understanding, right? Like as far as you know myself and you know how I presented the company, how we do business, and everything. Um, you know, like the company itself, like you know, we do everything for you, basically take everything off of your hands, and you know, pretty straightforward, transparent, everything. Like, do you feel like based on what you learned and you know just the initial discovery and stuff like that, you feel like we're a pretty fair and upfront, transparent company?
Oh yeah, and let me ask you: is this you and your company? Are you the owner and founder and CEO kind of thing?
I'm one of the managers with the company. Yeah. So, you know, but obviously, you know, we have a team here, and you know, I have people that I have to report to as well.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, Chris, if, you know, if we were to do business, I think I feel I feel very good, very confident, and you know, I try to do my homework and look at what you guys had to offer on your webpage, and I did the same thing for the other company, and they work out of Indianapolis, and you know, we both know this is not like a big, big property, so it's, you know, it's not going to kill either one of us. I'm just trying to do my due diligence.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Hey, if I'm in your shoes, you know, I'd probably be doing the same thing. You know, I totally understand, and you know, a lot of people feel that way, right? You know, they want to make sure they're doing the right thing for themselves and their family, and you know, just crossing all their T's and dotting all their I's. So I totally understand. Um, just out of curiosity, who's the other company that you're talking to?
it's called TP Investments. TWIST is what the T stands for, Twist Properties.
TP
And
Investments.
yeah, which I had to really I spent some time kind of tracking this down, but their closing attorney is Chicago Title out of Indianapolis, which I used, to be honest. But
Sorry, you cut out there for a second. You said Chicago Title out of Indianapolis, and then I lost you.
yeah. Oh, and then I wasn't sure who you guys use as a closing attorney, because I asked them, I picked a closing attorney, and they go, no, it's not really how it works. We use our own closing attorney.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm like, well, who is that?
yeah. Yeah, and I'm familiar with Chicago Title. We don't use Chicago Title, generally speaking, for the properties that we do in Indianapolis. We're typically using, generally it's Monument, or what's the other one? The other one I think is Meridian. But Monument is like our number one title company that we use for all of our closings. So,
Okay. Yeah, I
uh,
got familiar with Meridian. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so but Monument's great. I mean, we do a lot of transactions with them, and so, we kind of have like a volume type of discount with them just based on the amount of properties that we do. Um, aside from the price, right? Like what I guess t putting that off the table, right? Just comparatively, company to company at this point, like who, who do you feel like you just generally feel more comfortable moving forward? Where like, if you were to move forward, you feel like you're gonna, get what, you expect and it's gonna be handled, smoothly and you're gonna be taken care of.
Yeah, that was you guys because of the the effort I had to put in to track down the information on the other one. I think once I did that, I satisfied my curiosity, and I would feel okay the other direction. And then at that point, as you know, Chris, then it just comes down to 10 grand worth. I think since at the end of the day, I'm still going to do this online in the virtual world, and so can just I would pick one and go with the high price, the better price, just because I'm kind of in the same boat regardless. So at the end of the afternoon here, I was sitting at my desk for a while. I just said, okay, 10K is worth making the change or going in the TP world.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, I understand. I mean,
Where you guys were and that kind of thing.
yeah, for sure. No, I totally understand that. And, you know, I, I mean, just full transparency, man. I've been, with the company here, since 2019. The company's been in business. I mean, they've been, the partners have been doing business since 2008, 2009. We're in, a lot of states across the country. I think they're at this point we're marketing in about 12 to 15 states across the country. We partner with other investors in other states as well. So we do a lot of volume and a lot of transactions. And as I mentioned, Indianapolis is our number one primary market that we do business in. It's just, we just, I don't know why, quite frankly, because we're not located there, but, it's just a really good market and we do a lot of volume there. And I've never heard of these guys. That doesn't, that alone doesn't mean anything, right? It's anecdotal at best, right? I don't know who TP Investments are. Um, I can tell you that there's, the challenge in this industry is, there's a lot of people that, they go on YouTube and they go and, and they see these videos and like, oh, get into real estate investing with none of your own money, and these businesses, quote unquote, pop up all over the place, because they learn how to get into real estate investing, and they come with minimal experience at best if you're lucky, and they kind of make it seem really easy to do things. And what I've run into personally a lot of times is, you know our team is really good at underwriting and putting the numbers together. And so when we come up with a number and when the underwriters, put pen to paper as to a number that they're willing to move forward at, it's a number that they're confident that they can actually perform at. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of the companies that I've been up against in the past when this type of situation comes up is a lot of times these guys come in and they offer a number just simply to get into contract. And their whole MO is after we're in contract and we get really, really, really close to the closing table where the seller has already, put this property behind them. They're already on to the next thing. Maybe they've mentally spent the money already, and this is already a done deal for them. Then they come in and they come up with all of these reasons to renegotiate, whether it's their financial partners, pulled out and they have to bring in a new financial partner. Or they, oh, we discovered this thing wrong with the house that we didn't know about, and um, I've just seen it an awful lot of times. And what these, companies tend to really prey on is that sellers are in a position where they don't want to start the process all over again, right? They're like, the finish line is just within reach, and they're like, "Ah, I just want to be done with this." And so they relent and they end up coming in basically at the numbers where we were at. I mean, just last week alone, I followed up with a seller who kind of a similar situation, and turns out they actually closed with one of these other parties, but they closed $15,000 less than what we were offering them. And it was that exact same situation. They renegotiated in escrow and they just didn't want to go through the whole process all over again. When if they would have just went with our offer in the first place, they would have had an extra 15 grand in their pocket. Um, Not saying that that's what these guys are going to do, but I've just seen it happen too often.
Yeah.
$10,000 on a property like this, we're not talking about, a property in San Diego where $10,000 is a drop in the bucket, right? You can find $10,000 all over the place on a property in San Diego, or higher price point.
Well,
A property like this, $10,000 is a huge chunk. It's very
yeah.
hard for me to see a world where somebody can reasonably come up with that in a way that's not going to be detrimental to the overall deal, um, especially after the underwriting that we've put it through. You know what I mean?
Well, no, and that was my concern, because I guess I could see, I projected out and go, hey, what could possibly happen here? And that was a scenario that I thought, we're going to get to the end and they're just going to go, hey, well, we found an electrical problem and that's going to be 10,000, and and I can see that happening. And so, I don't know. And those were my concerns. In fact, I brought up that exact concern with them, and they said, "Oh no, that's not really how it works. Unless there's a huge issue like a foundation problem, we just don't run into that kind of thing." And I go, "Okay, well, yeah, I hear you. I hear what you have to say, and hopefully that's the case." But
Yeah.
it's a concern that I have, and I think we obviously you've run into it, and I've been in the business for a while too, and I've kind of seen those things pop up. So I'm a little leery, but that's where I am on it, kind of thing. So
I got
I
you.
guess, but I wanted to talk to you because I felt important to be upfront, and I guess at this point, I guess you know where I am. So, and since you guys started at 43 or something, right? And then we came up to 60. I didn't know, felt like you would have a lot of room to move on this into that range, and then I would just be taking a chance that they're not going to do that scenario we just talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the initial underwriting came back at, I think it was like 47, if I'm not mistaken. And then yeah, just coming up with to be able to do the pre-marketing and stuff, is really what helped kind of move the needle to get us up to that other number, and here's the thing, right? Like, l- let's just let's just future cast this, right? Let's say you said, okay, you know what, like, everything else aside, like, the only thing that matters to me is the price. These guys say they're going to do 70. I'm going to move forward at 70, right? You move forward, you go through the whole rigmarole, and they come back at some point right before close, and they're like, hey, we really need to be at 60, right? You were already basically, I mean, yesterday when we spoke, I mean, I went, to bat for you with the team and everything, and really put in a lot of effort to really come up with a way to get them to come up to that 60 number, and you told me, like if I can get you to 60, we would move forward yesterday. Um, so it's my guess that if they came back to you at the end of their time frame and said, "Hey, we need to be at 60," you would just drop down to 60 with them, if that's what it was, right? Because you'd be kind of on and done with it. Am I wrong about that?
No.
Okay. And so
Only
with,
because instead of going, I would probably just go, hey, Chris was at 60, we're now at 60. I'm at a break-even point. I would probably just do.
yeah. And so, you know, everybody doesn't operate like I do, and I don't expect everybody to, but I feel like, or it seems like at the end of that, after all said and done, yeah, the net result for you would be the same, but in the grand scheme of things, really what it would be doing is reinforcing that kind of behavior in the industry, which quite frankly, the industry is just plagued with it. I run into it all the time. And so now it's going to, it's just reinforcing behavior amongst companies out there whose whole MO is come in high just to get the contract done, and then renegotiate after the fact, you know, and that's the challenge that I have with this industry, and call it my morals, call it my ethics, whatever it is, and maybe that's a hurdle for me, but it's, when there's a lack of accountability for these companies that operate like that, when there are, a good amount of companies like ours, that try to be upfront and transparent on the front end and just stick to what we know we can do and move forward with, and I know the end result for you would be the same, but I feel like there would be a little bit of a, knife in the heart there of the fact that they kind of, got one over on you, right?
Yeah, so we're prejudging this other place to say that that's going to happen, which I always go in just thinking everybody's Johnny Do Good and would do it and just be upfront and transparent. I've been bitten a couple times, but I'm not going to change at 64. So to say that this is definitely going to happen, I don't think we can go down that path. But it would be a choice if it did happen at that point and go, hey, am I just going to accept this, or do I go, that wasn't really handled like the contract says, and I'm not gonna move forward with you guys.
Yeah.
I see your point, and I would certainly give that a lot of thought if that happened.
Yeah.
But then I'd be starting over, which, really, I'm in no hurry to do anything. I don't. I'm in kind of a fortunate situation. I don't have to do. I mean, I'm going to be fine no matter what. Even if if it blew up tomorrow, it's not going to kill me. But
Yeah, I hear you. Well, look, I mean, I want to do what I can, and I guess, you know, if you're telling me that we need to be at 70 to move forward, I can just about guarantee they're going to come back and tell me there's just no way. We just don't have, there's no margin in it to get there. Um, so is that what you're telling me?
well, having gone back to our conversation yesterday, I kind of knew that because you were very nice about going all the numbers out. You guys, what you would have to do and sell it and get commissions and all that. And so at this point, it was just, do I want to, not roll the dice, but just go, okay, is this worth 10 grand to go down for a couple months and see if this really materializes? as you can tell, I've gone back and forth all day today, and I was trying to call you all day so we could chat and
Yeah.
get a bounce off. Because I could just tell I valued your perspectives yesterday, and I really felt incredibly upfront and transparent yesterday about everything. And like I said, when I got on your website, everything looks so good, and I go, everything looks good, and so I felt really good about all that. And then kind of had to work to feel good on this other one, but I did get to that place. Honestly, I did. So then
Yeah.
it came down to 10K, and I just go, well, at the end of the day, I just started this whole thing 2 days ago, and I don't really know either way what's going to happen. So is it worth? Do I roll the dice? Yeah, hey, I'd be rolling the dice a little bit either way, and I at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. It's such a small house. It's not that big a deal. So
Yeah.
it was just that kind of thing where I'm just trying to learn and
Yeah.
go through the process. So do I get bit in the end? Maybe.
I gotcha. Well, I mean, what do we got to do to try to get, this done? Because, I feel like we had, really good rapport, great conversation, and, we've done a lot on the front end to really try to put something together that, works for everybody and, accommodates everybody, including your tenant. So I guess what's the absolute bottom line where we would need to be at to move forward with this today?
Oh, well, I don't know. Because I don't want to, I guess I don't want to put you in a spot. And I don't want to negotiate against myself either, kind of thing. And I don't know if how do you guys look at it for clients that come back to you and say, hey, this didn't work out, or I have another property, or those kind of things are because I do have a couple of the properties. How do you like, if let's say I don't sign the contract, let's say I go the other way, how do you guys view that in your database as a would you reevaluate down the road?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, it's not like, oh, we're McDonald's and you go to Burger King. It's like, oh, you had a Burger King burger. You can't ever eat a burger here at McDonald's. Like, that's just not like, that's not, the way we operate. I mean, we're a Christian company, the founders are all Christians, a lot of them go to the same church, or, a couple of ones out of state, but, and so like we operate under, the model do unto others, right? And so, yeah, I mean, like, we're not going to turn somebody away, uh, but everything changes. Like, real estate is such and I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, right? Like, real estate changes, you know, sometimes weekly, right? And so, if you go through a process with them and it doesn't work out, and it's 2 months down the road, well, a lot of things could be different in 2 months, right? So we would have to re-underwrite the transaction, and just see what the market conditions are at that time, and reevaluate. But the challenge, the bigger challenge, right? And I know you're not like, you don't have like a necessarily like, oh, I need this done in 60 days or anything like that. But let's just presume you wanted it done in 60 days, right? And at the end of their period, they can't get it done. It's not like, like, we have a runway, right? Like, our process is very much like an assembly line. And so there's certain things that have to happen along the way in order to bring a deal from start all the way to finish. And so it's not like we just pick up where we left off. Like, we're literally starting everything from the beginning at that time. So, it's going to feel like, oh, I just went through 45 days with these other knuckleheads, and now, so now I should be able to get this done in 15 days. It's not exactly like that. You know what I mean? Because we have to put it through our assembly line. But
And you're right. It's going to be if that happens. And again, I don't want to prejudge anybody. So
yeah, and I'm not, and by the
this
way,
gal was a,
just for clarity, right? Like I'm not saying that this is these guys, but I've seen a lot of this type of thing. And if I didn't say that I've seen this and I've seen these types of things happen, and it happened to you, I'd feel bad about not even bringing it up. You know what I mean?
yeah. No. I appreciate the information, and it's good to bounce this stuff off of you because it gives you perspective. And So we're a little bit discussing in hypotheticals kind of thing, and then you have to do a risk reward, I think, assessment on the hypotheticals kind of
Yeah.
thing. Is kind of how I'm looking at this, and knowing, and then at the end of that, if that did happen, I know I'd be frustrated and I'd be disappointed more than frustrated. I think it just
Yeah.
it wasn't handled right, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have time, and it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, I
For
could
sure.
certainly survive this.
Yeah. I got you.
I don't know, Chris. It's it's just going to be a decision, which it's just a fork in the road right now, kind of thing, and
Yeah.
and a numbers game,
Yeah.
and in this business, it's always a numbers game. For you, it's a numbers game to a certain extent. I understand your values and your principles and the Christian aspect to it, which I appreciate all of those things in many ways, and which certainly has true value, especially in my world as well. So I don't
Yeah.
want to. I want to make sure you understand that. So
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
know.
Well, let me see if I can help kind of like put some things in perspective, right? Because like we deal with this same situation when we're selling a property, right? Like when we put a property on the market after we flipped it, right? And we market it out there, and we get, families walking through, and you know, as a matter of fact, we just had a transaction. We're supposed to close next week, but this is like a bunch. It's like a big ranch in the middle of Colorado, right? So different type of property, but it's like, we had three offers. We had one that was at 700. We had one that was 735, and we had one that was 750, right? Now, the easy thing to do would just be like, oh yeah, I mean, why wouldn't we go with the 750, right?
Right.
But when we consider everything that goes into it, right, we consider holding costs, right? So now we have to look at like the different terms and everything. And the $700,000 offer was an all cash offer, right? They had sold a big, a portfolio of properties, and this was going to be their homestead, and they were going to be able to close in a quick time frame. The 735 was it was either FHA or VA. So it was like low money down. They needed to sell their house, which they hadn't even listed. And they had all of these super detailed things that they wanted information on. And they wanted to like get all this stuff like ironed out, right? Which is fine. Like that's what you want. And then the 750 offer, they had a property that they were trying to sell in a neighboring community that they were going to list for like $950,000. It would be the highest priced property in that neighborhood to sell in the last 36 months. And they hadn't even listed it yet. And the average days on market in that neighborhood were like 90 to 120 days. So when you pull all that back, it's like, okay, $750,000. Is there any security in that offer? Well, no, there's not security in that offer because they want the moon and the stars for their property. It's going to take 4 months, which means our holding costs are going to get amplified over 4 months, which is going to probably cost us about $30,000. So now we're looking at $20,000 more. And God forbid anything goes wrong, then we're shafted and we don't get that money. And then we lose the $700,000 offer. The 735 offer, all of those like things that they were looking for, and they had to sell their house. It was going to take 2 months. Whereas like it actually just made financial sense to just go with the 700K offer because it was going to happen in 30 days. There were no other things. They didn't have to sell a house because they'd already sold their house. So there was, less of these other things that were coming into play, right? So I totally respect the idea of like, hey, it's $10,000. I got to, consider that, but there's also the level of security, right? And really with this being a rental, obviously you're going to have capital gains on it, so it's not really $10,000. It's probably like, I don't know, $7,500 that we're talking about when it's all said and done. I guess, again, all that to say, I mean, like, are you really telling me that we have to be at 70 to be able to get a deal done with you, Greg?
No, when I called you, I guess I wasn't really thinking of a number. I guess I just wanted to let you know what information was coming across my desk and what was going through my head, and just kind of so that whichever direction we choose for my family, I would feel like I was up front and didn't like pull the rug out from that kind of thing. I just was.
Yeah.
Because they called with the exact same, almost the exact same kind of presentation and stuff. And I go, well, all right, well, now I'm at a fork in the road that I didn't see coming. But
yeah,
I don't know. Because I don't want to have to put pressure on you and go, oh, well, I tell you, Chris, if you could get me whatever, and then that's not very professional of me to use this as leverage against you, because you were real nice to get it to 60 from the previous guy. So I did appreciate all that.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden I'm at this fork in the road. So
yeah.
I guess I'll just have to make, because I just don't see you guys having, from the numbers you gave me yesterday, I don't see the numbers flexing near that number. Am I wrong?
No, I mean you're not wrong in the sense that, I mean they're not gonna. I mean, if they came up $10,000, I would probably have a heart attack. I don't think they would come up another $10,000. Just because I know how
Hey,
these
you're too
guys
young
are.
for that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'd be very shocked if they came up $10,000. Because again, it's not $10,000 on like a $700,000 house. It's $10,000 on
Right.
what's going to be, $115,000 house. I mean, we're talking about like 10%. That's a
Yeah.
big jump. Um, Now I'm good at what I do and I'm good at working with those guys. I kind of know how to kind of like, twist their arms a bit, in the right way. I mean, with that being said, I mean, how much closer to where we're at currently do you think you could get?
Um,
Because I'll go to bat for you, man. Like again, I don't
I
get paid
know.
unless you get paid, and I want to make it reasonable for you. So I mean, where do you think you can get to that I can go to them and just like put the pressure on them?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I got to tell you, Chris, you are good at what you do. I can tell. You, you have the right personality and demeanor to work with people, and that's a really good skill set to take into life. So, good on you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, yeah. You know what? Just for my family, I just think, I always default to my family. I'm sure you do too. I mean, being recently married with a new, you said you had a new daughter, or 2-year-old or something?
Yeah, she turns two. Yeah, we adopted her and she's turning 2
Oh,
in December. Yeah, it was yeah, long story, but we went through like 7 years of infertility and tried everything, and
cool.
our church family helped raise some money to help support us through that process, and then we ended up adopting her, and we got to be in the delivery room with her. So it's virtually like, she's ours, right? But like literally from the moment she was born to today, we're all she knows. So it's been an awesome blessing. But yeah, she turns 2 December 8th.
Ah, cool. Congratulations. Well, my
Thanks.
point is, you always default to go, hey, and you're young enough, and you're going to learn this a bazillion times like I did, but you always try to make the best decision for your family. It never comes down to you. It always is what do you think is the best for the family?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where I think I'm just going to default to. I go, well, you know, I've got the time to make this play, so to speak, and I go, okay, I got the time to maybe make an additional 10K, and then if it doesn't work out, yeah, great, you're gonna have to start over. Yeah, I get it. And I go, okay, well, but if it works out, then I'll be okay. I got kids going to college. Even me at age 64, I got kids. All my kids aren't even in college yet. My 3 boys aren't even in college yet.
Oh
So
man.
how about that?
Yeah. You,
So I got this young
how old were you when you had your youngest?
my youngest, he was 2013, so was it 53?
Oh wow. Okay. Well, that gives me hope, because my wife and I, when we started trying, when we got married, we both come from small families. So it's just, I have a sister and she has a sister as well, and we always wanted 4 kids, but like our adoption, this is gonna blow your mind. Uh, the adoption for my daughter cost more than what we're paying for your house.
Oh, I fully believe that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was absolutely crazy. It was like $85,000 when it was all said and done, and it was just like, it definitely set us back pretty significantly. But I'd pay it all over again. She's awesome. But if we can't get pregnant and we have to go through that type of process, there's no world in which we'll be able to have 4 kids. So, I think we might maybe do one more at this point. You know, um, and my
Hey,
wife,
Chris, you know what I've learned?
what's that?
You know what I've learned? Hey, nothing's impossible. Nothing. You say, hey, I can't have 4 kids. No. And just having gone through 64 years of like watching miracles happen, and you go, oh, miracles, they don't happen anymore. That's not. No, it really exists, and you just open your mind to possibilities, and God in the world just fills that void with whatever you need.
Oh yeah.
It's an amazing and I know a guy like you fully understands that. So it's just sometimes it's just when I look back over things, I go, I remember thinking that I could never have, oh, that'll never happen, and then all of a sudden I'm here and I go, oh
Oh yeah.
man, this is great.
Yeah, but we need those reminders from time to time, right? Like, and if I go through like the whole, like obviously God's sovereign and his providence is just like unbelievable. And, like if I go through like looking back, hindsight 2020, all of the things that led up to the adoption, and like how like my wife and I had like a bunch of debt. It was like 75,000, $80,000 in debt. And then we had this deal that happened that basically gave us the ability to wipe out 100% of that credit card debt. And then at the time, like that was literally the amount that we were going to need for the adoption. So we ended up freeing up that credit card space to be able to go through the adoption. But the timing of like how we found this agency through like a friend from church that wasn't going to our church for like years, was an old friend of my wife's, and then came back literally after we went. I mean, like just the timelines, right? And that's I feel like God lives in the coincidence, right? Like nothing's a coincidence, it's always God. Um, and it's sometimes it's hard to realize it in the moment, but looking back on it, and hindsight's always 2020, and you see, man, God was definitely walking beside me through that. So yeah, you're right, and definitely need that reminder from time to time. Um, well, let me ask you this, Greg. I mean, I'll go to bat for you, man, and try to get something done. I'd really would love to put this to bed for you, and make it make sense where you can, feel good about putting pen to paper and putting this to bed. Um, I mean, are you just like, hey, if I can't get 70 from you guys, I'm just gonna go with these other guys? Is that kind of where we're at?
No, I guess the way I'm hearing you and feeling like, you know, if I said, hey, meet us halfway at 65 kind of thing, and you go, and I I guess I'm feeling like that really wouldn't happen from your end, and then, would I would that 5 grand be compensation enough to move in that direction, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm feeling like that you guys wouldn't have that kind of room anyway, and so if I don't have to ask for that, then I don't have to put that pressure on you to make that inquiry.
Oh no,
You know what I'm saying?
put that pressure on me, Greg, because like I said, I got credit card bills from that adoption that I gotta pay. And like I said, I don't get paid unless you get paid. So if I gotta go put the screws to them to get you another 5 grand, I'll go put the screws to them to try to get you another 5 grand. But what I would hate to do, right? Because like, yesterday we talked and you're like, yeah, if you can get that to that 60 number, we can put this to bed today. And then, and here we are now. So I just want to make sure that like when I go to them, I'm like, in no uncertain terms, if we can do this, Greg's
Right.
ready to rock. You know what I mean? And the worst they can tell, like, they're not going to fire me, right? The worst they can tell me is no, but here's what we can do, So I have no
Yeah.
problem going to bat for you, man.
Well, um, I did say that yesterday, and you're right that I like to be a man of my word kind of thing. So that is a good point. Okay, I tell you what, if we can do, if we do that 65, okay, and then we'll do the paperwork tonight.
All right.
What are you thinking? Are you hesitant?
Um, I mean, I want to get it done for you, man. And I want to go to bat for you and try to get it done. I'm not gonna sit here and make you a promise that I can't, just as you like to be a man of your word, I like to be a man of my word as well. And, the last thing I want to do is tell you like, yeah, I'm going to be able to get you to that 65. And they come back and they're like, the best we could do is
Oh,
63 750, and I'm like, I just told him we could, you know what I mean, like, so um
no.
I mean, if they come back and they're like, dude, we can't go a dollar over 64, am I just dead in the water?
I know. Isn't that funny? But then yeah, so you go, okay, where do you really draw the line? Do you really draw the line there, or is that just a soft scratch in the sand? I know it's tough. I get you, Chris.
Yeah.
That's funny. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't want to put you in that. You know what? Man, you've been man. It's been fun talking to you.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess I'll just go down to 70 to the other guys, and I know this isn't working out for you, and that way it doesn't put us in a back and forth that we don't you know probably we don't want to get into.
No,
And
I hear you, Greg. Well, let me do this. Let me go to them. If I can, I'll give it my best shot. Like I'll throw the Hail Mary. If I can get them up to that 65 number that you just said, we can get this put to bed tonight.
yeah, I could, so that way that, I, yeah, I'll honor that. I will honor that. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Give me a minute. Let me put you on hold. Let me go to them. And this is where 12 years of jujitsu experience comes in handy because these guys just sit in front of a computer all day. So let me let
Yeah.
me let me do what I can do and just give me like just a couple minutes. I'll be right back.
All right. Thanks,
All
Chris.
right. All right. I appreciate you, Greg. All right, Greg, you there?
Yes.
All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you working with me, man, and hanging in there. And I really appreciate that you're a man of your word and you like to do business that way. Same way my dad raised me to do business. And so I went to bat for you. I had to call in a favor from, our top agent out there that lists our properties, and she's going to kind of help out on this too. And so I was able to get them to come all the way up to that 65 number. You got are you able to pull your email up?
Um, Hang on one sec. Um, I am.
All right, perfect. You should have it. Um,
Wow, you guys work super fast.
Hey, efficiency, man. That's how we're able to, save costs and everything and pass on those savings. So it definitely helps out, man. But when you have a really good team around you, like I couldn't do this all by myself. We have a really great team. Our agents, they chip in when they need to. Our agent out there, she gets a ton of deals from us, and so she doesn't need to. She's not itching to get full listing commission when we sell, and so from time to time she'll like chip in and help out too. So we got a great team. But
Super.
all right, so you got this pulled up. It's literally the exact same agreement that we reviewed yesterday. The only difference on there is the price, which you can see there is the $65,000. Everything else is identical. Did you want me to review this with you again?
No, no, I'm comfortable.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. So when you scroll down on the first page there, you should see an initial box. If you just tap
I
that
do.
with your finger,
Okay.
and then it
I
should,
did.
perfect. Okay, cool. Yep. And I see it populating right now. Cool. And then there will be an initial box on pretty much the first three pages.
All right.
And
There you go.
then, perfect. And then on the third page will be a signature and a date spot as well as the additional initial spot.
Okay. Oh, an
Oh.
initial.
Yep. And
Okay.
then you scroll down to the next page. The next page is just a signature and a date.
Got
And
it.
then the following page, there's nothing. And then the very last page, there's another signature and a date.
Got it.
All right. And then there should be, I think it's it's either a green or a yellow button that'll say like complete or finish or something like that.
Let's see, accept a cookie. Finish.
There
Yeah.
you go. Hit that and then it'll notify
Okay.
us. Perfect. All right. Looks like you are all good to go. Awesome, man. Hey, look, Greg, I really appreciate you, putting your trust and your faith in us, man. It really says a lot and we don't take it lightly. We try to build our business on doing things the right way and being very transparent. And I appreciate you seeing that in us and being willing to work with us. And what's going to happen here is, let's see, so today's Thursday. So by no later than Tuesday, you'll get a call from our transaction coordinator, and she's
Okay.
going to basically go over the next steps with you. Keep in mind, she basically the way this process works is it's an assembly line. So she's going to get this packet. There may be some questions she asks you about the house that I've already asked you. She's just double checking, right? And I know there's a lot of stuff you don't know just because you haven't been there in a while. So that's no problem. Just relay that to her, and then she'll probably. How did you want to handle it? Because as I mentioned before, we deal with landlords in multiple different ways. Some landlords, they want to be very hands-on in the communication between us and the tenants. Others are like, nope, here's the tenant's contact information. His name's John. Give him a call. He'll help you out with getting access. How do you want to handle that?
You can coordinate directly with him. I spoke with him this morning, and he was very compliant. He said, "Hey, I could be out in a couple weeks if you want me to." And I said, "Well, I think there's going to be a 30-day period," but he was willing to do his part. So I think it'll be okay. I think you guys have his number, right?
I don't think we have his number yet. So, what let me just go ahead and update the system here. What's his name?
Rolland, Rolland, Henderson, Henderson.
Henderson. Okay. And give me 1 second. Let me get to the next window here. All right. What is his phone number? Mhm. Okay. 317-724-6632. Perfect. All right. Yeah, so she'll give you a call. She might call you tomorrow, but usually it's within 48 to 72 hours from the time we get a contract signed. So could be tomorrow. The latest would be Tuesday that she would connect with you, and then she'll go over next steps. She'll also she'll probably she'll do a call with you, but she'll also do a call with him since he's going to be the primary point of contact for coordinating stuff, and then she'll just work with him as far as like scheduling, a photographer to get out there and any of our contractors and stuff like that to do measurements and that type of stuff. So, other than that, like I said, most questions, you can call me pretty much any time. a lot of questions you might have along the way. She would be able to answer, and we'd probably direct you back to her. But if there's anything that you need from me along the way, you can definitely reach out at any time. And then again, I'm going to be out in your neck of the woods. I don't know why I'm forgetting the the third or the fourth of December, and then we'll be out there, I think through the 16th or 17th. So, maybe if,
Yeah,
schedules
absolutely. That'd be
coordinate, would love to meet you in person.
absolutely. Let's make that happen. That'd be great, Chris. Look forward
Awesome.
to do.
Awesome. Great. Do you have any plans for Thanksgiving?
They're kind of still in the works. We kind of live a dynamic scheduling lifestyle around here, so it's hard to do any planning whatsoever. We're pretty spontaneous, which I hate spontaneity. I love planning, but I can't do it because you get young kids and a working wife, and man, all of a sudden the chessboard's pretty busy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What does your wife do for work?
She's a nurse. She
Oh, okay.
is, in fact, she just graduated from nursing school and is in the NICU, which is the baby part of the hospital. In
Oh,
fact, I have to sneak out to pick her up here in just 3 minutes. I got to leave, so I was glad that we could kind of work this real quick and wrap this up. I was kind
yeah.
of looking at my watch, but
Well,
hey,
sorry if I
Chris,
kept
man,
you at all.
no, I don't mean it like that at all. It wasn't that. You live on the clock with kids. You just do. Everything is okay. I have 3 minutes to do this. I pick him up at 5. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
And that's just the way you run your life.
Oh
But
yeah.
I really feel really good about working with you guys, and I'm really glad we shook hands. And I think this really feels good. So.
Awesome.
Having said all that, yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that, Greg. It's been a pleasure working with you. If everybody was this easy to work with in this industry, man, my job would be a heck of a lot easier and I would have less grays in my beard. So it's been awesome working with you. And by the way, uh, your wife has all my respect, man, because our daughter, when she was born, she, unfortunately the mother was not doing great things. And so she tested positive for meth. And so we spent some time in the
Oh,
NICU and man, those
right.
nurses are amazing. So, bless her heart. She's, what she's doing is amazing. And I love those nurses. So,
It is. I've heard a number of these stories, just like you just mentioned, and it can break your heart too. I tell you, ooh, man.
oh yeah. We are
Sorry to
blessed, honestly. Like we are so blessed. Like I say that, and generally people, like it's hard for your mind to not go to like extreme. Hers was so minimal. She's like perfect. She's got no issues and everything. So we're absolutely blessed. So I don't want to like overplay it any more than it actually is. But it's certainly scary when, because we knew going into it, like they're like, hey, she does all this stuff. There's a very high likelihood your baby's going to test positive for stuff and could have problems, but it hits different when the nurse actually tells you like the test was positive. Um, it's very different feeling than preemptively like trying to guard yourself for it.
it really is, and I don't think you could ever even. I don't think you could guard yourself. And when it comes to little people and little babies like that, I couldn't do what my wife does because I'd be bonding and be emotional with these little kids. So
Yeah,
um,
you sound a lot
it's
like
good
me.
to
I'm not built for that either. I'd probably, it would make me want to do some bad things to the people that are doing bad things to these kids. Um, so yeah, it's
there's always going to be an element that you're going to have to deal with that, and so the world's not perfect. I think is what I'm trying to say, and you have to learn to live in that unperfect world. Imperfect
exactly,
world.
exactly. But God's good no matter what, right? So that's all that matters.
Yeah, at the end, absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
but hey, I
Cool.
appreciate you, Greg. I don't want to hold you up any longer. Thank you so much, and looking forward to getting this across the finish line for you.
Yeah, great working with you, Chris. Really, without a doubt. So best to you and your family.
Awesome. You too. And feel free to give me a call when you're ready to move on from any of those other properties.
I know where to go now. Absolutely.
Exactly. We'll get this one across the finish line first and then take care of the rest of them for you.
Uh, Sounds great, Chris. Thank you
Uh,
so much.
all right. See ya.
Bye now.
Whew. Man, I thought I was going to lose that one. That's the it's the challenge, man. Man, I will never tell, I'm always preaching like, always look for a little bit more, always look for a little bit more, always try to hold a little bit more, hold a little bit more, hold a little bit more. But man, when you run into those conversations where you get to the point and you're fighting, 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 and you come to the 65 and you're like, look, I'll go to bat for you. But if they came back at like 33, 750, am I dead in the water? And then like some people that can turn the tide and you lose them, and the interesting thing with him, and hopefully you guys take this away from this, is so there's a couple things, right? Rapport, 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 rapport. The better rapport you have with somebody, the better rapport you have, freaking the more you can do, the more you can say, the more you can lean into things, right? And there's a couple, right? I'm going to critique myself. Like yesterday when I talked to him, you know, I overdid it on the EMD conversation, because he was saying, oh, $100 EMD, I have to like laugh and chuckle. He was bringing it up, but he was saying, but it's not a deal breaker. Um, yeah, I definitely talked past the buy sign. That's for sure. Um, we underwrote it and had a max offer of 64, but I'm like, I'm not going to lose a deal for $1,000. But that's where I was like trying to get to. I was like trying not to go over that 64, but whatever. We're not going to lose a deal for $1,000. So the number one thing is rapport. You can never build too much rapport, right? The better rapport you have with somebody, the more you can lean into it. Um, but also, this is why I try to gain commitment from people early on. It's like, hey, if I can get to that number, are we ready to move forward with this today? If you do that, like that alone is good, right? And that alone will get you deals done and you'll get contracts signed. But in this situation, he had a conversation, got another offer of 70, wanted to go that way. And I weaved that back into the conversation when it came up to the negotiations. Like, hey, look, I'll go back to them and I'll negotiate with them, but I just need to know where we're at because, yesterday when we talked, you said if we can get to that 60K number, we would move forward with it and put it to bed, and here we are now. And some people are not going to care. Some people they have no ethical dilemma, or they have no, I'm not going to say they don't have any integrity, but like that's not like a big deal to them, right? But when you're dealing with people like he's in Atlanta, right? When you're dealing with like old school guys in the South, right? Like generally speaking, they're raised like to do business off of a word and a handshake, right? And you gain that commitment from them. They get that integrity piece plays a freaking role, right? And you could see, I thought, honestly, Nick, I was like, I had to flip up the mic. You saw me flip up the mic there for a second because I thought he was on the verge of signing at the 60 number. He was like, he paused and was like, there was an internal battle going on with regards to his integrity and saying that he would move forward at 60, but it's a $10,000 difference, right? Like, so it's like, that's a struggle, right? And you could almost hear the internal battle going on in his head. Like, I like to be a man of my word. I said I would do it at 60. Little devil's like, but this other guy's giving you 70, right? Like, man, like that was a struggle he was dealing with, right? So now he felt that weight, and I want him to feel that weight, right? Like that weight is super valuable. Now, if I didn't have the rapport, I couldn't do that. Like, you can't do that without the strong rapport. Um, but yeah, I could have missed that. I could have lost that deal very, very easily. And this is where, I'm never going to get off of my soapbox of saying like, still try to squeeze more. When they say, do you think you get to 65? I mean, I'll do my best, but I mean, if they come back at, 63, 995, like, should I even bother getting back on the phone with you? Like, it's always worth it to bring that up, to test the water. And he knew what I was doing. He's like, oh, I love it. My guess is he's got somewhat of a sales background and he appreciates the salesmanship, because he's like, is that really a line in the sand, or is it just a faint line in the sand? Um, but yeah, that deal, I mean, we are actually probably going to flip that deal ourselves because it's going to be an easy flip. It's 720 square feet, and we could probably make 50 grand on it as a flip. So why the heck wouldn't we, if we can only make, you know, 10, 15 grand as a wholesale deal? So yeah, so we'll see what happens. All right. Now that freaking drama is over, on to the next one. By the way, Nick, I mean, there's a bunch of people watching, but so for anybody watching, definitely chime in. I'm curious, like, what your guys' takeaway in that conversation was, in that negotiation was. What did you like about it? What do you think I could have done better? And what do you think I did well at? Um, Always open to the criticism, but yeah, man, it was yeah, take 50 on a flip. But yeah, curious what your biggest takeaways were. By the way, this guy, he wanted 80 for this originally. So we got him down 20 grand or 15 grand now. I think he said 80 to 90 is originally what he said. Somewhere between 80 and 90, and, but I've got an ARV on this. Um, I mean, let's see, that's not a comp. In the last 12 months, just in that neighborhood. So there's a 2-1, 768 square feet. That's not even remodeled. Oh, that sold for 160 grand, May 2nd. Yeah. Why did I not see that? Let's see what's active. Oh, there's an active comp for 160 right now. When I got on, as I was saying in the beginning, I thought this was just a looking for numbers call, not knowing you talked to me yesterday. So I'm a bit baffled as to how the hell you talked to him yesterday. Bro, I did that on the live. So if you go back and watch yesterday's live, this call was on yesterday morning. Was it yesterday morning? Yeah, it was yesterday morning's live. Um, Let me see. I'll put the link to that live in the chat. Let's see here. Yeah, it was a 3.5 hour long live from yesterday. Let's see, share, copy link. Yeah, there's a link to yesterday's live. Yeah, I think so. It sounded like, so here's the deal, right? Like, and I totally see that, right? It didn't sound like we had as much rapport as we did. We were on the call yesterday for an hour and a half. So we were on a long call yesterday, ton of rapport. And then I didn't know that I was out of the office most of, like half of the day today. And I didn't even see, I must have had myself on not available for calls. Um, but I didn't see any voicemails come in. So I didn't, we need to fix, there's something going on with our phone system. Yeah, dude, I went through the whole discovery call, the whole pitch, negotiated with him, got him down from 80 all the way down. Our first offer was 47,750. And then he wanted to come up. He wanted 65, and then I basically got him to land at 60. And when I came back, and I'll just let you watch it, but basically, I do, to come up that much, I always want to have some sort of justification. And so I went through this whole pre-marketing pitch as a reason to come up on the number. And I probably belabored it a little bit too much. But then we sent him the contract. I reviewed the whole contract. So that was everything. Like, you know, that was basically a start to finish one call close conversation. Because we were expecting him to sign that contract and just be done with it. And as I started the call today, I had mentioned, and I don't know if you jumped on shortly after I started, but basically when I was calling him, I was like, okay, look, one of three things is going to happen. Either A, he's just going to be good to go and he's going to sign it. B, he's going to have talked to his tenant and found out more condition information to try to justify a higher price. Or three, he's not going to want to work with us at all. But I didn't think that was even realistic. I didn't even think about, the fact of like, oh, maybe you got another offer. Um, so yeah, but this is the deal, right? The other thing too, the other takeaway that hopefully you guys took is like, just because somebody comes with a higher offer doesn't mean you can't lock up a deal. Like, this is not the first time I've locked up deals where they've had higher offers from other people. It's absolutely possible. Why is this one listed for 100 days? There's got to be something wrong with this. Maybe it's just